one thing we forgot to do was to add more categories. So right here all we have is Asian. Let's go into our seeds file here. And if you remember, we called it Italian at first, but then we changed it to Asian. What we want to say is where name Italian first or create. And what this does is it goes through and finds a category where the name is Italian, and if it does, if it's the first one and it does, great, don't do anything. If not, then create it. So let's create a few of these. And just to show that it works, let's just call this one Asian, Greek, French, Mexican, and let's do Indian. So now when we run our rakedb seeds here, rakedb seed, it'll go through and create all of those categories, but it's not going to create the Asian one again because we already have one. So anytime you run the seeds file, it won't create any of these twice because it already has one. So there you go. That's how you create more categories, and if it already exists, then don't create it. Now let's add some validation to our restaurant model here. So go into your restaurant RB file, and the way to add validation is to say validates presence of name. So you can't create a restaurant without having a name. So if we try to create one here, well, it'll take us back to this because we didn't put in here any sort of redirect back to the new form, but it did not create a new restaurant. So we'll fix that too. But essentially, you can start putting in here what you want it to validate. So we'll just say description, city, and then state. And not only that, but you don't want somebody to just create this. You don't want any random person being able to create a new restaurant or write a review, right? You want them to be able to log in first before they create a restaurant. So in our restaurants controller here, say before action, authenticate user, and only for the create and new actions. This is a devise method right here. It basically says before the create and new actions are kicked off, authenticate the user. Make sure that the person is logged in. So now when we go back and try to write a review, it's going to say, hey, you need to log in before you do anything. So I'm going to sign up here because I don't have a user. Password 123, password 123. Welcome, you have signed up successfully. Now it brings us here. And again, when we try to create something here, it's just going to redirect us back here to the root path through the home page. And then in order to fix that, we need to say if restaurant save, then redirect. Because if not, then you want to flash a message. Say it's a danger message, and say restaurant dot find those errors of what you need, put it into a full message, and make it a sentence. So let's take a look at what that looks like here. Oh, and forgot to render the new form, the new action. So now we do a refresh here, create restaurant, and now it's going to tell us, hey, you can't do anything because the name, description, city, and state can't be blank. And those are what we put here in the validates presence of. So like if you take state out, close it, and try to refresh again, or try to create it, now that state sentence is gone, that state error message is gone. So let's just put that back. So with very few code, you can do very strong things in Rails. This validates presence of and the authenticate user from devise. You can control who can create a new restaurant or who can write a review.